now turn up.
What up, is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads, and you already know what the question is. When do running backs peak in age? This is important for fantasy football. It is important for Dynasty football. It is incredibly important for Dynasty fantasy football, because if you pick too late of an age, you will end up with Todd Gurley at this point. And if you have Todd Gurley at this point, you know how different of a value that is from 2 years ago. And Le'Veon Bell, and Melvin Gordon, and can we keep going? Can we keep going? Because there's more and more players. But if you're new to the channel, we are giving away a Vikings signed football. And if you're not a Vikings fan, there's going to be plenty more giveaways coming up here. Like a Jerry Jeudy signed jersey that we're going to be giving away too. That first one was Patreon. This one is for, what was I thinking? Subscribers, of course. 1,000. We're getting closer and closer and closer. And so I also have a question for you guys. If I do a $1 Patreon thing, $1, just a $1 gift. First of all, what would you like for that $1? Because I mean, truly, we got to figure out what we want to give for that $1, or if you just want to give $1 a month. Because I've seen a lot of channels do the $1 option, and if I did a $1 option, would you do it? Comment. I would like to know. I mean, all right. So peak values running backs. So we're going to do 230 fantasy points and 250 fantasy points. This is PPR. In 230 points, we had 9 individuals do it last year. We're looking at ages, of course, young, old. We're going to do it all. So we're going to start with the old people. So 32 is the oldest somebody's gotten over 230 points in PPR. Ricky Williams and Fred Jackson. Man, I remember Fred Jackson. 2013. It feels like it's been not that long ago, but it's also 8 years ago, and I guess that's... And Ricky Williams is when I graduated high school? Jeez. 2009. So, spoiler, you can figure out my age. So, he had 247 points per game. 247 points. Not 247 points per game. That would have been like with Damian Tomlinson. So, we had D'Angelo Williams, that was 32. Curtis Martin, Tiki Barber, Ricky Walters, Thomas Jones, Priest Holmes, Tiki Barber again, Charlie Gardner, all above the age of 30. So if you look at where most of these people peak, you know it's not going to be 30 years and older. I mean, if you look at, the chart kind of shows that there's been over 200 players to do it. 10 of them have been 30 years old, 4 of them have been 31, 32 years old, there's been 3. So the notion that when a running back is 29, about to turn 30, if you have not sold that running back yet, their value's already down the garbage. This is a conversation more for Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, where these running backs are not 30 years old. They're 26. Derrick Henry's about to be 28. So we have to figure out, are they sell nows or are they keeps for maybe a year or two? And then we sell them, or we try to sell them. All right. So let's go for the youngins first. So 21 years old. We've had some people hit over 230 points. And again, we're going to go through 250 as well, because those are more the elite running backs. That 20-point gap is actually a decent big gap. And we go from 226 players down to 74. Isn't that crazy? That seems like just a small gap of 20 points, but man, it really cut some people down. So we got Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Clinton Portis, Maurice Jones-Drew, Reggie Bush, Jonathan Taylor. 2020, Jonathan Taylor made it, 252 points. So those players were 21 years old. So the youngins are 21. We know the olders are kind of into the 30, but where is the peak age? The average age of a running back over 230 points is, drumroll, 25.5. All right. Is that older or younger than you thought? Because that is about the exact age of Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook. And that is maybe why they're at peak age right now. And they could be sells at this point, or sells for younger assets, especially if you're looking at a 18 to 24 month kind of rebuild or reload for fantasy football, dynasty fantasy football, then they might be sells. They should be sells, I should say. But you can't just sell them for nothing. So let's go to the 250 points 250 fantasy points per game. Why do I keep saying that? 250 fantasy points in a season. 74 players. All right. The ages for the most fantasy points, which I was actually kind of shocked when I had CMC and he had 471 points. It didn't feel like 471 points, but also I wasn't playing against him. I had him on my team and I was just running through teams. That was fun. He was 23 years old. We've had 25, 24, 21, 22, 23, 27, 25, 24, 24. Those are the elite, the best seasons in fantasy football history. in history. We were talking about 372 points and above. All players, you could say mostly, I would say without exception of a couple here, 23 to 25 years old. So that is the prime age to find some of these running backs. We talk about running backs almost being we talk about tight ends, the third-year breakout. Running backs are almost seeming to be like that is their peak season, is season 3 or season 4. And so, like, Jonathan Taylor did amazing. But can Jonathan Taylor do even better when he's 22, 23? Yes, and that is a big key of why I really love him in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So, what is the average peak season for somebody over 250 points? We went from 25.5 to, drumroll, 24.7. So we're even moving it down. Players that were over, let's say, just over the age of 29. Let me click a little buttons here. So these are the players over the age, so 28 is not included in this, so 29 or 30 or 31 or 32. There's only been 3. His name is LaShawn McCoy, age 29, Matt Forte, age 29, and Mr. Adrian Peterson, all day, age 30, 260 points per game. So if you are looking, I mean, even if you're looking at Derrick Henry, which, I mean, you see the 28-year-olds, we look at the 28-year-olds, and there's 8 of them. There's 8 of them in history. 3 27-year-olds. Realistically, a lot of the ages that we are finding out of the 72, we were talking about 12 at 23, 15 at 24, 15 at 25. Then it goes 8-3, 8-2-1. That is between 26 and 30. The big drop-off is 26 years old. You could say any running back after the 26 and older is a running back that you should be really starting to sell, starting to flirt out there. And I know this is an incredibly hard time to do it. So this is one of those things, just kind of put a note on it. Like, hey, like, reminder, like, I should have this in my knowledge, 26-year-old running back, I have Alvin Kamara. And through the season, even if he's doing well, and you have a really good season out of Kamara, it might be time to be like, hey, I'm going to trade him for a younger running back, Javonte Williams, and something else. Or you have Dalvin Cook. I'm sorry, Dalvin Cook, skull. But you're halfway through the season, and he's still doing really good, and running backs do get hurt a lot. I mean, Dalvin Cook hasn't finished the season yet. You trade him for Najee Harris plus something. Those are the trades that will help continue to build your team unless you are all in for that season. Just know, if you are all in for Dynasty Fantasy Football especially, you have to be warned that there is a downfall. You will hit rock bottom afterwards. It's just how far will you hit. Now, for fantasy football, if you are just a yearly fantasy football kind of connoisseur, you could say, it is important to know that a lot of these breakouts are from running backs into their 2nd, 3rd, 4th years. So just know that some of these running backs, DeAndre Swift, CEH, Antonio Gibson, Cam Akers. It's what the numbers say, that when you start finding these running backs in 23, 24, 25, Miles Sanders, like Josh Jacobs, like these are running backs that are still not dead. They are still in that kind of group of territory that we need to stop selling a lot on, and making sure that we are not completely abandoning ship, and making sure that these running backs still can have a very elite season. If not 230 points, or if not 250 points, maybe 230 points, okay? All right, so what have you learned? Running backs after 25 and a half start to hit the downfall. That's the big key. Well, what else have you learned? That basically any running back, 20, I would say, well, 29 and over, I mean, is just, it pretty much, you're to the point of garbage. You just put them out there. If you can get like any pick, be happy. So that's why Derrick Henry, I'm not a super, like, that's why he's not a top 5 dynasty person for me, top 10 dynasty running back for me. Because in 2 years, you're talking about, he's 29, and we have 3 people in history that have done that, 250 points in PPR. And do I think Derrick Henry's going to be one of those? No, I do not. I do not think that's going to happen. So again, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. Let me know about the Patreon thing. This is what we're giving away first. And then I think we're going to give away a jersey. I have some jerseys that I want to give away. Oh, I don't want to smear the autographs, but I think I have some jerseys I would like to give away. Right now it's between Craig and Mike. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about the dollar Patreon thing. Maybe I can get some interest and ideas and something like that. There's 860 some of you out there, so you guys can definitely put it in. Maybe there's even some people that have been watching that are not subscribing. And if you haven't, do so now. Or just tell a friend. I don't know. Or don't tell a friend. I don't know. Maybe I'll be your secret. All right? So, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Now turn up.